What is up, guys? It's me, Nalian, and today I want to talk about you guys, the community. Now, a lot of people say that also community is very toxic, the most toxic community they've ever been in, that it's bad, it's filled with bad people, it's this and this and that and that. And I wanna go a bit more into it and how the community can do good and how the community can do bad. Let's start with the bad. The things that everyone talk about and how it affects them and how it affects the community. Now, the most basic thing that we can look at when we look at the communities from side of toxicity is that also can make you rage. For the most part, can make some people rage. You know, like for example, you slam the table, throw your tablet pen, to an extent even punch your monitor, you throw something at your monitor from rage or whatever it may be. And that can be interpreted as something toxic, but it happens in like every other game. People get mad, so they slam the desk, punch things, you know. I'm not necessarily saying it's good. It's never good. If you have anger management issues, I suggest like taking like a pillow next to you or something like that, like try to punch that instead of like ruining expensive equipment or harming yourself in the process. If you deal with that and try to calm yourself and maintain your anger and whatever it may be. Now, that can be seen as a toxic trait as on its own. Now, let's go a step back. Now, a lot of people know that also is not the game for the most mature players as a whole. Like the top 3 players are like younger than 17 as of right now. Whitecat, Emrek, and well, Vaxe. So the game with having a low average of player base, like let's say 13, 14, 15, whatever it may be, falls down under, well, people being essentially underdeveloped and being less doing things where they don't think about the consequences. For example, calling someone a slur, for example, and like harassing them and like not thinking about the consequences, how the person next to them feels about it. And that may also be like another issue that we are talking about. Now, another thing is that essentially the way that people tell others regarding the rank and how to actually improve the game and how people on others in certain ways, or because, well, they're bad or too good even. So let's start. First things first, there are a lot of people who use the social hierarchy of someone being a higher rank than them, so it means that they are better than others, and they can like feel the urge to insult them or call them bad or, well, try to flex on them. And it can also happen outside of us as well, in Discords, on Twitter, on social media, essentially where also players socialize. They can also be harassed based on the rank or the plays. Now, another thing can be also, as I said before, farming. Essentially, people who look down at farmers and how it harms the flow of the game, and how what they do is essentially like bad for the community as a whole, and how it has no place here. Essentially as well, being too good at the game. While there are people who are literally like too bad to play, so they play farm-ups to get ranks. There are also players who get for being too good and get cheating accusations made about them. I'm not saying that every person who is too good is either not cheating or cheating. It's just that there is a lot of like accusations without any solid proof, and it happens quite a lot more than you think. For example, a lot of people who browse also report can confirm that like a lot of like reports on top players happens without any proper basis for the most part, and it's a thing that happens quite a bit. If someone new just suddenly pops out and he isn't like well known or well developed in a lot of skills, he will get on for not being as unique. And this brings me on to my next topic. Being a top player and getting by people who don't even have a 200 PvP play, or as you see, as I just did right myself, I compared players. I was toxic in a way, and essentially that's also what happens. The opposite way, where, as I said before, people who are very new to the game, they go ahead and they criticize other players because the players that were before them weren't as good or as bad, and they were more well-rounded or more well this or more well that. So they devalue and they make top players insecure. For example, if you guys know Mati, he was one of the best players. He was rank 1 for quite a bit. And what happened is that he got shat on when he got rank 1, and it actually made him take a break from the game. Now he's back, but imagine reaching rank 1 at the game you worked so hard on, like the game you're best at, and then get like and bad from random people you don't even know. That just sucks, you know? It's like, even if you did it the easy way, it doesn't mean that you didn't put any effort to it at all. It's not like that's the thing. It's not like you did this and just rank 1, because there was effort, there was time, there was like blood, sweat, and tears into this, and you shouldn't take that away from anyone. Now, that can also happen with D rankers. There are a lot of people who don't see D ranking as a good thing, because what happens is that you essentially take someone who has a PhD in physics and put him inside of first grade. That's essentially what happens, and it just ruins tournaments, and it can ruin ways of playing games, and people have to tank their actual level and rating in order to be able to compete in a level where they are actually confident at in the tournament scene. And it's just like a thing that is not well supported in the community, and a lot of people don't really like it because it causes a lot of troubles for a lot of people combined. Now, there's also the part and the aspect of people shit talking and looking down at players who are one tricks, for example, certain one tricks, aim one tricks, for example. I'm just saying, not necessarily that being an aim player is good or bad. It's just that the most common thing to hate is aim, because it's farmy, it's easy to work on, it's one tricking, it's bad, it's not consistent, you just have bad top plays, whatever it may be, and it just harms a group of people which are not necessarily trying to harm anyone else. They're just playing the game their own way. It's their own fun. They're not taking it away from anyone else, essentially. If you want to farm, if you want to like get better and rise above, you can always do that. Look at Ryuk, look at Merami. Sure, they've had to put a bit more effort into it, but perseverance will always be talent, essentially. Sticking to it and sticking to being a top player and sticking to being consistent with that skill set will still make you good. For an example, -GN does not need to have rank 1 to be considered one of the best players of all time, because his scores set him that way. It's what he did. Rank doesn't necessarily mean anything. You will be good with being rank 1, or you will be good being rank 10. You will be good based on what you can do. Okay? Now, this brings me on to my next topic. People that compare top players. If you compare a top player, it essentially just makes it so it's just pointless at the end of the day, because one of them is good at one thing and the other one is good at the other thing. It literally trying to it's forcing an argument, and it's just that it takes away from the value of a player. Because if you just look at like, oh yeah, he just farms DT, when he like has multiple like only FCs on a certain DT map that no one else can FC, but he got lots of PV for it. Like, some people consider it as a farmer, but like he worked hard for that score and he didn't cheat and do anything. Well, in reality, this player can do streams better than him, so he is undeniably worse. And it's just a thing that like people in the community need to understand and value others' abilities and skills and what they know and learn from them. Okay? Just because there is one person who prefers to play DT jumps over hard rock aim doesn't necessarily mean that they are harming themselves or you, or the way the game is essentially in the platonic way of the game. Like the game will keep on being circles, sliders, spinners. That will always be the fundamentals of this game, unless they add something new. I don't think people will ever add anything new. But essentially, you shouldn't feel bad for someone playing that way, and you shouldn't feel bad for you not trying to play that way. Because if you don't like it, don't do it. Even if it harms the way of the game, and like a lot of people do it, and you genuinely don't want to do it, then don't. Me saying don't, of course, can't really prove it, but as I said before, there have been plenty of people who literally broke every stigma in this game. Hitkey hit rank 1 multiple times playing a hard rock only stream player. Merami 300 BPM stream gold rank 10. Ryuk insane stamina, bursting, streaming, all of that. Top 5. It can happen. Things like it might be a bit harder, but it can happen. It happens. If you want to be unique, go ahead, be unique. I won't be the one to stop you. But you shouldn't take that away from others. If they want to be, if you want to have PB farm maps, if they want to have 300 PP, 400 PP, 500 PP, you shouldn't try to take that away from them if they don't break the game necessarily. But, of course, everyone can say that the Oscar community is toxic for one reason or another, because it's a skill-based game, and a lot of skill-based games are essentially toxic because they have a ranking. And the ranking, when you lose something or when something affects you, you might get angry, and it might make you, well, lose your marbles or look at it in a more toxic way, and you will just get mad at stuff. Now, also, in my honest opinion, is not as toxic as other games. For example, team games like League of Legends, CSGO, etc., etc. Because these games have a team. They are solely focused on being a team game. Meaning that even if you perform perfectly, there will still be someone in your team that can ruin the game for you and for others. That is why I will always think that there will be some more toxic game. Unless it also becomes multiplayer for like ever. That's it. Like Tag 4, you know, it's like, yeah, but it's not. So right now, it's essentially what you portray and what you enjoy playing and what you enjoy doing that will define what you are as a player. That's the thing, and what defines you as a person with his own emotions, how he controls his emotions. Now, I've talked about the bad in the Oscar community, but we also need to remember that there's a lot of good, a lot of good. First things first, people who go out of the way to help others, whether it may be us supporter, giving us supporter to others. That's like a very nice gesture. This right here can literally make someone's like weak. This right here. So if you guys can to show some support, show love to someone, give away a supporter to your friend, to a giveaway winner. If you can, why not? Spread some love, spread some positivity. That, trust me, if it's someone that is unable to pay for his own supporter and really enjoys the game, he will very much appreciate it. Very, very much. People who also try to support the community in other ways, such as releasing guides on the game, informing others, increasing the knowledge as a whole of the game, improving the game. Whether it may be in a technological level, bots, PP calculations, maps, all of those people, even if there are some hiccups here and there, it's still a good gesture for the most part. For the most part, it's still a good gesture. People who coach, who are in Discords and like send tips, who send love and support to other starting players and give them tips on how to do this and how to do that. You guys essentially take all of that you know, all of the knowledge you've amassed this past couple of years, months, days, and you just like let it all out in the public, and it's very, very nice. And thank you for that. Whoever does that, whoever is being able to be helpful to people, whoever is trying to support people in a tough time, whoever is able to make people improve better at the game, thank you. You're doing something good. You're making people, even if you yourself don't see it as such a good thing, remember, a baker should never judge his own bread. It means that you should never judge your actions if they are good or bad. Now, what I mean by that is, even if you think that what you're doing is just like, oh yeah, it's nothing, don't worry about it, you can literally make the day for like someone else. As I said, you can be someone's whole world. It's also very important to note that while I'm pretty sure that you won't be someone's whole world for giving an also tip, but they will appreciate it. And who knows, maybe that also tip or these also tips will make him keep playing. And by him keeping playing, he will become one of the best players of all time. You should always, every person has the potential to become something great. Never underestimate that. Never underestimate that. Now, I want to bring this topic on a final note where it's basically stuck between a rock and a hard place. If you guys are active on also Twitter, you'll know that there's a thing called also Anonymous, where it's essentially run. It's run by one person, and you guys, anyone, me, you, Pepe himself, can just send a submission, and it's about the game, whether it may be about a player, about maps, about certain play styles, about certain players, about certain artists, about certain songs, whatever it may be. Now, it has a good and a bad side. I'll start with the good. You see, essentially what happens is that it gives a platform to people who are less notable in the community. Let's say, like they have like only 20 Twitter followers, and they give very well developed and very well focused take, for example. And what happens is that it just gives a voice. It gives like a megaphone for people who are randoms, essentially, who are not that known in the community, to become better and like more known, even if it doesn't go even if it's not directly credited to them. Their voice is still essentially heard, even if it's through a third-party megaphone. Now, that can be amazing. For example, a couple of days ago, I had like a post about me, about like how I need like help and I'm going through a tough time, and that's very appreciative. I thank the Anonymous who did that very much. Thank you very much, Anon. And I want people to understand that just because there's a weapon, just because there's essentially a thing that a lot of people may see it as a bad, doesn't necessarily mean that it can be used for good. Now, here's the bad part about it. A lot of the times, because it's anonymity and because like no one knows who is talking, who is this, who is that, people just like let it all loose, They say, oh, white cat stays, cookies is this, oh, this map sucks, oh, this mapper sucks, oh, this player sucks, oh, this, all that, because it's anon. It's anonymous, you can say whatever you want. Now, of course, there are filters. They filter it. If it's not 100%, also they remove it, etc., etc. But stuff that those get in, essentially can be, credited as a bad take, or, just hands down harasses someone. It's not essentially a good thing. It's not a good look for the community. But at the end of the day, while it does exist and it is a thing, people need to understand that, as I said before, just because you can use it for bad doesn't necessarily mean that you must use it for bad. You can use it for good as well. It's a neutral term. You can have a neutral approach to it. There will always be bad. No one is perfect. There will always be some sprinkle of bad. The thing is that you will see a black dot on a blank canvas, on a blank white canvas, easier. It's just no more noticeable. If you take right now, go to paint, just put a dot down, a black dot, whatever it may be, on the canvas, and you will ask, okay, what do you notice the most? Let's say the dot, because it's easier to notice. That's what I mean. You will notice the toxic part of something before you notice the better, the good, whatever it may be, part of the community. And it's always important to take everything into account. Just because someone is doing one fuck up here doesn't necessarily mean that he's the worst person in the community here. And that brings me to my my earlier topic, also Anonymous. Also Anonymous, I'm pretty sure that what Vinxis did, the creator of Also Anonymous, they necessarily wanted to make it like 100% toxic and bad, because he knows and everyone knows that some good has came out of it. Some good takes, some good moments, some laughs, some memes, some jokes, and I'm pretty sure he sees it as a platform to give other smaller users a way to express themselves, because they can't on their own social medias or Discord servers or Twitter or Twitch or YouTube or whatever it may be. So you shouldn't look at a thing that is neutral in a bad light. Always try to look at the full cup of the glass. Always try to look at the full cup, the cup full of juice. That's always how you should look at things. So the also community might be toxic to some and might have some preferences, but I genuinely think that this community is one of the better ones I've been at, because this community has a lot of technicality to it. At the end of the day, it's a community where it's very hard to like stick by and become well and developed and well endowed and understand the basics and the juice of this game. You need to you need to stay here for a long and like understand people, understand this and understand that. And that is why I think that essentially, while there are some bad apples in every community, our community will be a lot better, and people grow with each other a lot more nowadays. Especially now when like there's a generation replacement, meaning that all people leave. They know that they grew up, they play the game when they grew up, they grow up, they're all grown up and they leave the game, or will like come back in a couple of times. And now there's a new generation. And I think that as an old player, I've been playing since 2015, I think that I should try to be a better influence to people. I should like have the good experiences that I had with the game, that I had with those people. And that's the thing that I want to display and portray with my streams, with my YouTube, with my everything. Because we're all people. You look for entertainment, I look for friends. And this is why we're here. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.